All right, all right, all right. Let's see what's going on here. I guess we clocked in. Hey, what's going on, party people? Now, if this is your first time here, welcome. It's definitely a great pleasure to have you here. I go by the name of L'Esprit. I am a spiritual healer. And essentially, as a spiritual healer, what I do pretty much is that I help you to become Christ like, Buddha like, Krishna like. And what all of that means, in essence, is that I help you pretty much to attain your highest level of consciousness. And I do that pretty much by talking about spirituality or holding the mirror of wisdom, because that's what spirituality is, as a way for you to see who you are. That's pretty much what I do. Now, as simple as it may sound, right? I mean, there's a lot, it comes with a whole lot, you know, because for you to attain that level of understanding, you would have to become mentally and emotionally balanced. And that's where the work comes in, when you're hearing people saying you have to put in the work, the shadow work, um, open, try to open up your third eye, the meditations. This is where all of these things comes in, because for you to attain or to become a greater version of yourself, because that's technically what, being Christ-like is. As a human being, when you understand there is more to you than just, let's just say, dick and pussy or bread and wine, then now you would have to apply yourself into the things that you don't see. Do you understand what I'm saying? And this is where now, as you see in the title, because that's what we're going to be talking about tonight, man, it's just amazing. But anyway, so yeah, so technically, so that's what I do, and that's how I go about doing it. Now, it's vital for you to attain that highest level of understanding. You first would have to become mentally and emotionally balanced. And again, that is part of what the work, doing the work, that's what that entails. You being emotionally balanced, and that simply means you understanding, oh, before I even go there, why is it even important? It's important because your emotions plays a direct impact on how you see things. And when we're talking about seeing things, we're talking about your inner vision. Because to see and to understand life, is to have a deeper understanding of, let's just say, it's not just the trees that we're looking at, it's not just the job that you go into, it's not just you growing. So we're talking about the experiences, the inner vision, your growth, your understanding, your intellect, and your emotions. So to see life, this is why even when we're looking at this life, even from a physical perspective, it's not as physical as it appears to be. In so many words, this is why this is an illusion. And what I'm going to be talking about tonight is showing you, when you don't have the knowledge of God or the knowledge of Christ, you are in this illusion. So when you have the knowledge of Christ at this point, only then can you truly be free. Then you become liberated. And when you don't, obviously, you are in bondage, in material bondage. But now going back, I mean, in essence, that's what we're going to be talking about. But now going back to, excuse me. You know what I'm saying? I just had a little something. You know what I'm saying? Nigga had a little something. But yeah, so going back to the point that I was making in terms of your emotions, right? But not just your emotions, but I was also trying to get you to see, even for us to look at this life. And when we even talking about life, when you have the elders telling you, hey man, growing up in this life, making certain decisions and all that shit, this is all pertaining to letting you know to live life, to see life, to understand life. It's not just walking outside. It's not just you partying. There's an inner understanding of life. And that's the sight you need to acquire for you to become Christ-like. That's that highest level of understanding that is required of you And once you have that, this is when you become your best version. And you also become a person of wisdom as well. So this is why, in just a little bit, when we're talking about life or spirituality, it's your fucking life, bro. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's your regular life. Because the life that we're living in, it's not what it seems. It's not what it appears to be. There's a lot more to it, just like there's a lot more to us. That's the truth we all need to awaken to. And that's what the Christ consciousness is all about. To be Christ-like, Krishna-like, Buddha-like, a Guinea, or whatever the fuck, however the label you want to attach to it. Buddha, just so you guys know, means to wake up. You are awakening or being awakened to your reality. And you do that by having a deeper understanding of what's around you, including yourself. This is why they tell you, you have to know who you are. The more clarity you have about you, that's why knowing the truth about you will set you free. The more, you would have a greater understanding about this reality. But anyway, going back to your emotions plays a direct impact on how you see things. So you have to become emotionally balanced, and that pretty much means you understanding your emotions, how it works, and if there's any blockages, then you have the ability to remove it. And as you can see, that requires some work, man, some inner understanding. That's when people will tell you or talk to you about shadow work. Meaning now, for you to become truly critically thinking, involved into your emotions. It sounds easy, but it's not. It sounds simple, I should say, but it's not easy at all. Because, life, it's like we all need those aha moments. Do you see what I'm saying? That's what you need, that awakening. Then you would have to put yourself in that frequency. But anyway, going back to your emotions now, those are the things that you're going to have to deal with to understand your own emotions, for you to become emotionally balanced. Now, when we're talking about, let's just say, and as you can see, it has a direct impact on on how you see things. When you're being triggered, or when you're mad, or someone who's being jealous, who's totally being somehow controlled by their emotions, hey man, they don't see things clearly. You know what I'm saying? They don't see everything that's in front of them until they learn how to master that emotion and completely take themselves out of that. And that's how now you have a greater understanding of what's in front of you. So your emotions are very important. You shouldn't suppress your emotion, because here's a mistake that a lot of people do, because they understand that your emotions can't block your vision, for lack of better terms, right? Or doesn't allow you to see, fully what's in front of you. So as a result, they choose to suppress it altogether. And that's another issue in itself. That's another issue in itself. As I came to understand, this is the very basis, or that's the foundation for toxicity. Anybody who's toxic, truly being toxic, there's a lack of emotion. They're not emotionally involved. You become very rigid. You have people who are jealous of other people. Ironically, that's a lack of emotional control as well, but then their reaction, man, listen, we see it all the time, man. People are killing people over jealousy. Like, come on, bro. I like to call them Chuckies. You know what I'm saying? Because, at this point, and here's just something else too, when you're have pretty much taken over by your emotions, it's almost like you don't really see nothing. You technically black out. You see what I'm saying? And most people who mastered that in terms of, your psychopath and shit like that, they master how not to, what I'm saying? That's why they do certain things without feeling any sympathy, without, I know people who'd be laughing at other people going through hardship. How fucked up is that? How much of a piece of shit you have to be, bro. It's funny. Earlier I was reading this thing from the Torah. They talked about dust don't produce fruits, man. And in fact, I will be talking about that tomorrow. I'll talk about it tomorrow in my other channel, to give is to receive. Because on that channel, what I do, I use a lot of those quotes and I build on them. I help you to attain a higher level of understanding through quotes, or what I call the power of words. But anyway, that's going to be for that. That's a different conversation. But I guess while we on it now, it's like, to produce fruit, man, there has to be life in it. And anyway, that's going to be a whole different conversation. But going back to the matter at hand here, without your emotions, man, it's when you suppress your emotions, you technically become very rigid, robotic. You're stepping on people's toes and you don't even give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? And it's the same thing that happens, you see, when people are being too logical. You know what I'm saying? There's a big element of life that they don't factor in their understanding. And I could tell when somebody's strictly speaking from a logical perspective, because they're not looking at the bigger picture. You see, whenever people, are so quick to blame other people, trying to be logically saying some shit, whereas that's not the case, man. There's a bunch of shit that happens to a lot of us, that you have to overcome, for you to do the right thing. Do you see what I'm saying? You have people who are emotionally so unbalanced, if that was the case, if life was so logical as most people think, why would people do, the same thing that your mom or parents do? Because you saw it. Do you see what I'm saying? It's not as logical as you think it is. So this is why, just to look at this life from a logical perspective, you're being short-sighted. And the same thing happens. In fact, there was a prostitute that was brought to Jesus, according to the law. This is what the law says. This is what we're supposed to do, whatever the fuck. And Jesus' response was, well, I'll tell you what. Whichever one of you without sin, you cast the first stone. Because what that did was adding a little bit of emotion into their logic so they could have a better sight. Because if I'm not perfect, you're not perfect. What gives you the right to even want to stone somebody else, man? Because of what? That's why the Spirit, you have compassion when you're living by the Spirit, or when you know God. And we'll be talking about that shortly. But going back to, to what we're talking about here, man, you need emotions. You need to have your emotions. That's why it's important. And in fact, there is such a thing as being emotionally intelligent. Now, if you guys seen the movie Sinners, there was a part where Smoke, called the girl that he was with and also his brother, and what the fuck is going on, guys? Are you guys just giving away shit? You know what I'm saying? Because he was looking at it only from a business perspective. And the lady replied, hey, nigga, this is not motherfucking Chicago, nigga. These people had to walk a few miles. They don't have, as much money. So, him being logic in his business is business, but you also need to be, his logic needed more logic. And that's what adding emotion to your logic does. This is why you can't suppress your emotion thinking, you are seeing it all. You do not. It's the same exact opposite, just like being emotionally balanced. When you just are mentally not balanced, meaning you have a lack of emotion into your logic, guess what? You are become as short-sighted as someone who is emotionally unbalanced. I know for me, the first time I wrote that Jesus thing, oh my God, even for me, man, it did open up my eye. I'm like, whoa, how did he even come up with that? You see what I'm saying? And when you have the spirit in you too, you become a lot less judgmental to like other people. This is why I always tell you guys too, it's always the motherfuckers who are judging other people, the judgmental niggas. Those are the ones you have to be aware of. And this is funny, and I got to shout out the guy that I was raised with. I thought he was my father, but he was not. But in so many words, man, thank you, King. Thank you very much, sir. Because I remember he used to tell us, like, well, me, because, I used to ask a lot of questions, right? So he used to say this shit in French. La critique, le critique. Technically, what this is saying is, when you're judging someone, that judgment is also judging you without even you knowing. Do you see what I'm saying? And when you see people, without emotions, like I always tell you guys, if you can't tell me how stupid you are, because for you to admit that you were stupid, there's a little bit of, not just logic here, a little bit of recognition with emotions, because your emotions and understanding, they go hand in hand. Oh, that's what that is. Oh, yeah. You need all of that. So you can't fully remove your emotions and thinking you're going to be logical in a sense of, you're going to see more. It's not true. Not true at all. If anything, you become more robotic. You become a beast. Judge Dredd, man. You think you see it all, but you know what I'm saying? But you can't relate to nobody. How about that for them apples? But anyway, now to be mentally balanced, it's also important for you to understand how your mind works. Do you see what I'm saying? Because everything you come in contact with, is shaping you to think a certain way. The schoolhouse, every institution is designed for you is designed for you. I mean, they're designed to design you a certain way. Society is shaped to design you a certain way. School, a certain way. So you have to understand that. You have to be aware of what is it that they're trying to do to you. Sure, I mean, you go in there to learn. It's not even education, to be honest. It's more like formation. You know what I'm saying? It's more training, to be honest. You know what I'm saying? So they're shaping you a certain way. It's not true education. First of all, education is nonstop. You get out of school, hey, here you go. Life is like, hey, nigga, here I am. I mean, you could run all you want. This life lesson, you're going to get it either way. And this is the shit that matters. Because ultimately, this is who you are. But anyway, your culture train you to think a certain way. The society that we're living in, people keeping up with the Joneses, the competitive market, the competitive everything, everybody being average, it's all part of that training system. And that's what the Matrix is. Or at least that's my definition of the Matrix. It's that world that we create in this life And then we give it a whole different meaning. Meanwhile, and this is why every once in a while, life is going to come in and remind you, hey, you faking. You know, just when you think you got the cars, you got this, you got that, and then within, there's something else. Do you see what I'm saying? And this is the true knowledge. This is the Christ consciousness that is needed. It is that very essence that we are all made out of. And that's the truth right there. That's what the truth is. But anyway, to summarize real quick, you know, you have to be mentally and emotionally balanced for you to become the greatest version of yourself. There's no way outside of it. In other words, even for you as a person, let's just say if you were born in America, as an American, you have to learn not to be an American at the same time. What that is, okay, you were born here, there's a certain culture, but not being here, meaning there's more to you than just this culture. And this is what I love about America too. Like for me personally, you know, it's that diversity, right? You know, you could eat different food, you listen to different people, different ideas, like that kind of shit. I mean, it's the closest thing in so many words you'll get to experience in terms of life, but not just that. That should also give you a greater understanding about human being all together. So that's why, you know, mind, body, and soul, the whole idea of mind, body, and soul, you know, that's how you become the greatest version of yourself. And to be Christ-like, Buddha-like, Krishna-like, that's what that entails. Now, as a spiritual healer, spirituality is the core. I mean, it's what I use, you know, it's the backbone of my ideas. Everything that I'm speaking out of here, my understanding, my interpretation, these knowledge that I'm speaking from are streaked from a spiritual perspective. And what that means is, to me and spirituality, all of us, just like when I was talking about life, the inner sight that we all need, regardless of where you go. This is why when you go to certain countries, let's just say the less developed countries, they're a little bit closer to life, right? Only because, you know, they're not bombarded by all those fucking shit that we have around us that tend to give us or put us on a different, or, you know, like almost like, you know, we're not as connected as them. And that's the true wisdom. That's what you see even in certain countries. You know, people are a little more grounded because they're a little bit closer to nature. You know, meaning they're not surrounded by all this artificial or those fucking products that like we all do over here. You know, because for you to go within too, like, you would have to put yourself in certain environment. This is where meditation comes in. This is when going to nature, embracing nature, all of these shit helps in adding on or helping you to have a stronger connection to who you are. And for that man within too, that's part of, you know, that direct connection. Why the fuck was I talking about that? Because I feel like I used that to make a point. I forgot the point that I was gonna make. My bad on that. Whoops. My bad on that. Oh, so we were talking about spirituality, right? So, yeah. So no matter where you go on this planet, you know, we're all seeking for something greater in us. Regardless of what the religion is, regardless of, no matter where you go, there is a need for, no matter, like, whomever, you know, when we talk about God. And this is why too, you know, I want you to keep that in mind, because this is going to be a good foundation for the conversation that we're going to be having right now or shortly. In terms of, you know, without God, you're living in a fucking illusion. Because what God truly do for us is that it gives us a greater, it elevates us, all of us. Even when you look up to the sky, it's something you feel in you, bro. I don't give a fuck what you say. Even when I could understand now why people are saying God is up there. Because there's a certain way you feel when you look up there. And that feeling comes from you. Do you see what I'm saying? With our divine, with what we call ethics, moral, those are all divine qualities. Things that are within. It is those codes that makes us human, bro. You know, you in the inside of you, you know you're not supposed to kill somebody else, bro. You know that shit. This is why, regardless of what you say, the laws of the divine laws are written in you. I mean, whether you choose to listen to it or not. So again, going back to spirituality, so no matter where you go, you know, we all need God. And depending on which God you choose to follow, guess what you're going to do? You're going to act just like that God. That's why mythology plays a big part in society. Without me going too deep into it, let's just say if you were to say, I don't believe in the Christian God. But if your understanding of this creation is based on that, it doesn't matter. You already believe in it. And this is why, going back to what I was saying, mythology is the highest form of mind control. Because no matter where we go, no matter, you know, there's a story, a tale about creation. And look at every single one of those cultures based on that creation tells. It's almost like that creation is the very essence of that society. But I'm going too much into that. And I think I already talked about that too. But that's a whole other conversation. But I'm saying that to say, that's why God, like, you act like you're God. And me trying to get you to be aware of that, I'm letting you know this is I'm speaking from that perspective. This is why when we're talking about spirituality, or at least the spirituality that I'm telling you now about, has nothing to do with belief systems. Because I'm not here to tell you, hey, Buddha's greater than Jesus, Jesus is better than Buddha, or Krishna, none of that. In fact, I'm telling you, you know, what they all represents. Ultimately, what they do for you. I'm speaking from a higher order here, from the order of Melchizedek. From a higher level of understanding here. And this level of understanding, it's, you know, miss me out with which God is better, which, that's bullshit. All that lets me know is you don't know what God is and what God means to you, or how God is how meaningful is God in your life. That's all that's telling me when you telling me that shit. And you may also be under a different form of mind control. Again, there you go. You see what I'm saying? But anyway, and then now on the flip side, you know, along with spirituality, you have, let's just call it esoteric knowledge. Because I'm not going to, but then again, the misconception, let me just say that, since I was talking about spirituality, right? So it's not a belief system, nor is something that is outside of you. Because regardless of what kind of human being that you study, when you strip everything out, what you have left would be, we are this living, thinking thing. If somehow you don't see it as spirit, if somehow you do not want to call it energy, fine. But there's a living, thinking thing in you. that somehow, and that goes for everybody, right? Based on how you see things or how you understand, then your life is going to play out that way. That goes for everybody. This is why your God, you're going to act like your God too. If I'm a 7-day Adventist right now, my Saturday is different, because this is what my God is telling me. Then my reality is going to be will be created according to that. Again, we're speaking from the order of Melchizedek here. From the highest order here. So, and then, because now, here's the thing. And this is why this is a good segment for our conversation too. Because now without God, in other words, without you having that deeper understanding of who you are, without you going within, then now you only look at yourself from a material perspective. And this is where you become short-sighted. And now to be born again is when at this point you are being introduced to that other side of you. Because once you know it, you will change. You can't go back. When you know there is more to you than just your material world, in other words, you identify yourself with your spirit, then the flesh and your bones are no longer will be the same. You no longer will look at yourself from that same perspective. And that's what the whole Jesus shit is telling you. This is also where now I'm saying, or as the Bible said, oh, death, where's your victory? Because I am no longer in this illusion. The illusion meaning I'm just looking at shit from a material perspective. Now when I see energy in me and I understand that I am energy, guess what too? You start seeing everything around you too from a different lens. Now you have adopted what the Bhagavad Gita called a Godhead mentality. To him who is spiritual, everything is spiritual. And to him, again, who only see themselves, who don't know God, or who don't know the spirit within, is material bondage. Then, here's we're living a life which is full of mystery, bro. Look at the life around you. Everything that's being created, this ether, whatever the fuck, things that people are learning in nature, the things that are taking place. I mean, you can't tell me this is not fucking supernatural in itself. The only way for you to partake in that mystery or that supernatural is for you to become one of it. You have to become that. And that's the eternal life. That is when, you're seeing beyond the veil. But anyway, let me just summarize this whole spiritual shit so we could delve into this kind of shit. So, again, I just wanted to talk about the misconception or the misunderstanding or the ignorance when it comes to you. And this is why a lot of people, when they talk about spirituality, or maybe you would look at a monk and you go like, oh, this is what spiritual is. Whereas it has nothing to do with that. Now, what they do, I understand what they do, why they do it. And as they become spiritual, they behave a certain way, all of that. There's a whole other science behind it. And be careful not to criticize shit you don't fucking know either. Because this is part of our culture too. In America, we do that shit a lot. But that's what ignorant is too. You're gonna say ignorant shit, especially when you don't understand other people's culture too. Same thing with fucking voodoo. Same thing, niggas. And you criticize everything you don't fucking know. Other people's custom or fucking. Anyway, I'm not gonna waste time on that. All right. So, no. Spirituality is you. And when we strip everything from us, in terms of even your language, even what I'm saying here, it's a depiction of my mentality, of my mental. Well, what the fuck is my mental then? You know, what is this thing? You know what I'm saying? And then to get to know someone too. You know, it's not what they look like. It's their character, right? Well, I mean, again, those are non-physical shit. So to speak of spirituality, I mean, hey man, it's all of us. What it is to me is just giving you a deeper understanding of this life that you're looking at. And it has to be a deeper understanding because we are living in what is called a fucking illusion. You know, when you look at the lady in the red dress. You know what I'm saying? A bitch with a fat ass, huh? You know what I'm saying? Like, you gonna marry the bitch because she got a fat ass? Or because she look cute in the face? Tell me. So you could show off to your friends, right? Well, a bitch with a fat ass, nigga, like we say in Haiti, man. It's like, and we say that shit too, man. Bitches with fat asses don't get married neither. Like, girl, you know what I'm saying? That's like having grapes. I mean, there's a saying that says, you know, that's like having grapes. You know, let's just say you have mango that is in your yard, but somehow it's leaning towards the roadside, right? So everybody's walking by could just grab it. You know what I'm saying? With your fat ass. Another illusion too, man. A fat ass doesn't mean she's a good person. Or is she, or she has the ability to raise your kids. If, you know, that's a thing for you. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of niggas, you probably don't even look at that shit. You know what I'm saying? You got a fat ass nigga, you good. You know what I'm saying? Pound town, you tapping that, huh? You tapping that ass. You make it clap. Clap. You know what I'm saying? Hey, you know, illusion, man. Illusion, my man. You know, and guess what happens out of that ass? That shit coming out of it, dog. Hey, ladies, come on. I love y'all, all right? I'm not coming at none of y'all, you know what I'm saying? I'm just saying in terms of, and just so you guys know too, this is why even in the occult, women are used as a sign of illusion too. This is not to down, to put you guys down. No. But it's just because this is also your strength too. Y'all already know that. You know what I'm saying? If you know how to use it correctly. You know what I'm saying? That's why it's also important for you to master yourself too, especially you. But anyway, all I'm saying is I'm not coming up, my ladies. I love y'all. You know what I'm saying? Y'all looking good out there. Mwah. Make a clap, baby. But anyway, this is strictly for educational purposes. Meaning, you know what I'm saying? If, shit. You just gotta know the truth, man. If you don't know the truth, you will be under that fucking illusion. That's all I'm saying. You know, we ain't criticizing my ladies at all. I love y'all. Anyway, and I have a daughter too, so you already know. I love y'all motherfuckers. I really do. But anyway, this is not that. So going back to my point, So yeah, I guess we're pretty much done, right? When it comes to spirituality, right? So you guys get it. Hopefully you do. You know, it's just you. That's why it's you, man. It's you walking around taking this shit, scratching your ass, you know, regardless of, you know, now you become spiritual when you start to acknowledge these things about you. This is why I tell people, you know, unfortunately, you know, there are those of us who came to have a little bit of clarity about who they are. And do you know what they do? They go after religion. They have not taken the time to fully develop themselves. Because the more you do so, you know, I know for me, that was my path too. The more, you know, I got to know myself, you know what I'm saying? The less and less, you know what I'm saying? That book, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, I talked about that already, you know what I'm saying, in one of my recordings. Was it the last one? I can't even recall, man. Sometimes I just be on my shit. But, you know, you're the one who's breathing life into the book, not the other way around, okay? It's not letters over spirit. It's spirit over letters. Just like it's not book knowledge over the experience. It's the experience over the book knowledge. You know, you should be seeking for understanding that support who you are. Otherwise, you live in a lie. The purpose of, and this is where too, spirituality is not giving you the okie doke. It's not blinding you. To be spiritual like Jesus was not a stupid motherfucker, bro. Like, do you see what I'm saying? There's a difference between being ignorant and stupid and claiming to be spiritual, or you have faith, or whatever the fuck. There's a huge difference, okay? Don't be stupid and like you have faith. Because having faith has nothing to do with being stupid. Just so you know. To the great listeners, you know, I salute you, okay? Now that we get that out of the way, so let me just talk about esoteric knowledge real quick. You know, hey, man, it's that type of knowledge, right? Those sacred texts, you know. That's why when we talk about initiation, understand this. It's nothing secret about initiation. There's nothing secretive about it. The secret part of it, and that which we came to understand, is that you have to be on that level. That's all it is. You know, the whole initiation aspect, there's nothing secretive about it. And when we talk about initiation, being born again, whatever ritual you choose to go to, or even having an aha moment, that thing, that, you know, that awakening that you got, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Because, you know, in a lot of African cultures, what we do by initiation, we know how to awaken certain spirit in you. The things that are dormant in you, we know how to wake that up. For instance, when we're talking about, without making it too, okay, let's make it simple. When we're talking about opening up your third eye, that is something that is dormant in all of us. There's a couple things you need to do to awaken that. And what that helps, and how that helps you, it helps you to absorb, to be more receptive to intelligence, to light, to understanding. Because that's how you develop your inner vision, through those aha moments. It's not a matter of you knowing how to read and write. Because if that was the case, think about it. You go from, I don't know, let's just say 10th grade to 11th grade, 12th grade. I have my master's, right, in fucking accounting. I still had a teacher. Well, I already knew how to read and write. Why the fuck would I need a teacher for? Do you know why you have the teacher? And this is why a lot of people, you have to understand this. This is why even when you're reading a book, you know, you have to be on the level of the book. What the teacher's doing is giving you the understanding that's in the book. That's why letters are dead. It's the understanding that gives it life. So then now your teacher turns around and gives you the homework to do. You have your reading assignment, and then you have questions. You go ahead and ask the questions. Because what this is doing is somehow trying to help you to have to attain that understanding in the book. This is why reading is not as much as it's not what you think it is. It's you that's making sense to. I know how else to break this shit down, man. You know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna be nice. I won't be talking about, you know what I'm saying, the other side and how they be saying shit. You know what I'm saying, with book references. God, you know what I'm saying? Matthew chapter this, that. Okay. It's your understanding of it. Without your understanding of that, I don't give a fuck what you're saying. But anyway. So then now you have the esoteric knowledge, right? What that deals with pretty much is the type of understanding, right, that is now, you know, helping you to become aware of the things that you don't see about you. For instance, some of the basic shit the occult will teach you is that you have a fucking subconscious mind. Then you go like, oh shit, what the fuck's the subconscious mind? Sub, under, conscious. Oh, and then they tell you, you're not even aware of it. You got something that you're not even aware of? And ironically, you will truly understand your subconscious mind when you become aware of it. So this is where some of us spiritual healers, you know, through initiation, we know certain things, how to awaken certain aspect of yourself. That's where you need to go through your rites of passage, all that shit. There's a science behind all that shit. But anyway, why the fuck did I bring initiation here? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, okay, never mind that. Because, you know, the point that I was making is just like not casting your pearls before swine. You know, there's nothing secretive even about what I'm talking about here. There's a bunch of other shit I'm not going to talk about too, because, you know, I mean, you know, I know a lot of you motherfuckers are not on that level. Do you see what I'm saying? And if you are, I mean, I would know who to talk to about, you know, certain things. But anyway, and that's that. Now let's delve into, man, I mean, without the knowledge of God, you're living in a fucking illusion. But first we have to understand what is it that God do to our lives? All right? Even if you want to call it the man upstairs, okay, what is it that man upstairs or that person, wherever that person is, what is it that that person somehow sparked in you? What is that spark? What is that? What is the effect of having God in you? You know, you see past material shit. Meaning, you know, you look at people's quality. You help your brother, right? Not being envious of people and shit. Not being a hater and shit. You know what I'm saying? When you don't have God, those are the things that you do. You know, even for you to go within. When you go within, then you start looking at this reality from a different perspective. And by the way, this is the only way to look beyond the veil. This is how, when you have God in your life, you are no longer in this fucking illusion. The more you go within, the more you identify with the spirit. Like for me, or other people who have mediumship abilities, when you talk to what's called dead people or angels, some people would tell you, I talk to God, I talk to whomever you choose, or in your dream. However you choose to label it. That connection, that type of interaction will change you as a person. Automatically. And This is not you suppressing this material world neither. This is not you saying fuck earth, none of that shit. But just a deeper understanding of who you are, seeing beyond the veil. That's how you transcend this reality. And in so many words, those are the things that the Spirit does to you, or God, the Spirit of God, or Christ, or Krishna, Buddha. This is all, I mean, that's what they all represent. It's you going within. And guess what happens when we all go within? When you start seeing, oh man, when you find you, you're not gonna compete with nobody, bro. I don't give a fuck who you are. And listen to the people who find themselves. We all speak the same. Because we've experienced the same. This is where we became one. The one body of Christ. And this is what Jesus was telling you too. When you eat my flesh and drink my blood, you became like me. And this is why I try to tell you motherfuckers, man. The word must be made flesh. That's the material bondage when you don't know God. Because God now, at this point, you inspire to be more. Even you motherfuckers who's talking about you're going to go to heaven, right? That's more. Then now, if you need to keep God's commandments. And what that means, people, the reason why I'm laughing, man, anyway, because I know I've seen a lot of people, I've heard a lot of people saying it, but, you know, they have their own interpretation. Well, just I have my own interpretation of it. But anyway, you know, but it's always the question of, if that's what you're saying, I mean, how does it apply into your life? That's what I'm trying to ask people. Now, when you talk about having God, or you said that you're saved, what do you mean? How are you being saved? How is you saved is being applied in your life? What does it mean? What is the impact of that in your life? You know, is it because you just don't go to parties anymore? You know what I'm saying? Or you don't dance? Because dancing is so evil. Like, what the fuck? What are we talking about? Do you see what I'm saying? I may need to talk about that too, man. How, you know, that when we separate ourselves from ourselves, I mean, you'll never be whole. But anyway, and that's a whole other conversation. And I think I already addressed that too. But anyway, if you're interested, well, anyway, yeah, man. What impact does God have in your life? That's important for you to know. Because to have God in our lives, it inspires us to be better. This is why, as a man, you need God in your life. Because God now gives you integrity. It gives you self-worth. It gives you self-esteem. And true self-worth, too. I'm not referring to, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're talking about the true treasure. That's that treasure that Jesus was talking about. And once you find that, really, man, nothing else matters, bro. It doesn't mean you're not gonna have a brand new car, or you just that whatever else you got. It's not, you're not going to identify yourself with it. Because now you know better. You understand? This is why having God in your life, man, listen, It's making you a better person altogether. When you cherish that spirit within, nobody has to tell you not to kill your friend. You wouldn't do certain things, bro. Automatically, you would not do it. You wouldn't be envious of or jealous of other people for what? What they have is what they have. God bless them. Not just that, you would be happy with what you have too. The fuck? Oh, man. And here's the thing. If you're not happy with little, you're not going to be happy with a whole lot any fucking way. So it really comes down to your perspective. And adopting that God perspective, that's what the Godhead mentality is. And this is how you become a greater version of yourself. Yes, you have money, but at the same time, it doesn't make me any better than you. Or lesser than me, however you want to put it. And when you have that kind of stuff in you, nigga, you think, what I'm saying? Can you imagine Puff Daddy tells me, hey man, what's up, dog? What's up, nigga? What you want? Hey, I know you want the nice cars, and nah, man, you ain't fucking me up the ass, nigga. You know what I'm saying? Because money's not everything to me. If money's not everything to me, guess what? I'm not going to do everything for money. That's just the way it goes. And that also goes back to God, your mentality, how you act, your subjectivity, how it display in your reality. As a man thinketh, so he becomes. It's through God we inspire to be great. At least you should. You know what I'm saying? To be divine, to be of that essence. Oh, I love God, nigga. You know what I'm saying? It's God over everything for me. But also the knowledge of God too gives you the insight about this world. So when you look at someone, you don't look at them just from their physical perspective. You want to know their inside. Because now I'm about my inside. What is your inside like? What type of person are you? Let me read your energy. This is why without God, you're gonna be in a fucking illusion. Because with that understanding, it allows you to see past the physical shit. This is how with God, only through God can you see clearly. Can you see the truth? And where is that God located? If you could say upstairs, wherever you choose to put him. But before you get upstairs, you need to go within first. to somehow be closer to him, if you want to put him wherever you want to put him. And here's something else too. Oh man, we all say God is, what is it? Omnipresent. Well, that means he's everywhere, right? Okay. Do you see what I'm saying? If he's everywhere, shit. I mean, you sure? Let me ask you, you sure? But the closest way to him is within. That's why the kingdom of God is in you. Oh, your heart plays a big part, baby. Yeah, man, the pure in heart, man, they will see God. Blessed are the pure in heart, man. I stood in front of him. And I didn't even flinch, nor blink. It was just a heart thing. It's a hard thing. You know what I'm saying? So, but anyway, you know, that's how you're able to see past the physical. And when you don't have that that divinity in you, you don't go within, meaning you don't see the spirit in the material world. Guess what? You become ignorant too. It's material bondage. But anyway, I'm going to leave it here, guys. I was trying to keep it short, already an hour. But just so you guys know, it's always a pleasure to serve you. As a spiritual healer, I'm just doing my job, baby. So with all of that being said, guys, I'm going to have to let you guys go. But before I always got to give you something to take with you. Listen, if somehow you didn't take none of what I said here with you, make sure you keep those ones with you, man. Listen, if you're not true to you, you're always going to be false to somebody else, man. And if you're true to you, you can never be false to nobody. You know, sometimes what hurts your heart, open up your vision. For you to do, well, you got to be, baby. And what you do for money, you do it badly. And you can only be great at something you love. Do you see where, like, you know, like this, you know, it's all within. It's all within, man. You know, be the God that you would like people to pray. Be a representation of that God among men. You see, that's what Jesus was trying to tell you guys. Before you go and offer your whatever the fuck to God, make peace with your brother. The idea was to get you to be active. He was trying to get you to materialize God in your life by telling you the things that are more important. Be the representation of the God that you would like other people to pray to. And on that note, before I let you go, always remember, the remedy of the pain is where? It's in the pain, motherfucker. Haitien. Bra. Mali.